We have 3 candidates for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1, and these fine gentlemen, I want to make sure they were all gentlemen before I said that, will be having 2 minutes for their introductory comments. Then we'll go into a question and answer period, and then they will have 2 minutes to close. So please sit down and take notes. And even if you're not in JP1, there are things to learn. Okay, now to Justice Wright.
Thank you very much. And again, a second reminder on buckets, donation buckets on the Eagle Forum table out there to help with the expenses, because there are expenses associated with these events, all 5 of them. We're going to start in alphabetical order as we've done with the others. And so if Mr. Carson, you want to go ahead and give your 2-minute opening.
Thank you, Jay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Scott Carson. I'm running for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1, Montgomery County. I'm a lifelong resident in Precinct 1. Went to school there, graduated from Willis High School in 1999. Married my high school sweetheart. We currently live in the district and have 2 boys in the district as well. A senior at Willis High School and a 9th grader as well, who we homeschool. Professionally, I've spent the last 20 years in public service. Started out right out of high school working for TDC as a correctional officer. Was there for about 10 months. Left there, went to work in retail asset protection, catching shoplifters for Kmart until the local Kmart I worked at filed bankruptcy and they closed down. I was able to get on at Walmart. My friends of mine worked at Walmart, so transitioned over to Walmart and did the same thing, retail asset protection for 5 years. That's where I met a lot of law enforcement, a lot of Conroe PD officers, and developed relationships with those officers over the years that led me into a career in law enforcement. Went to the police academy and I then got hired on to the sheriff's office under Sheriff Tommy Gage and worked there from 2007 to 2012. Left the agency to get on a better day shift schedule for the family life and spent the last 13 years working at the Postal Service at the federal government. I left there to run for political office, and you cannot run for political office along party lines if you work for the federal government. So I left there. I'm currently working back at the sheriff's office under our current sheriff, Wesley Doolittle, in a civilian role. Right now, my goal is to be elected to your next Justice of the Peace. So, again, Scott Carson, thank you.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Luly, you have 2 minutes.
Thank y'all for coming tonight, and thank y'all for sticking through for the whole event. So I know we're last, so thank y'all. And Mr. Wright, thank you for doing this, and thank everybody for having us. I'm honored to be here. I'm Brian Luly. I'm running for Justice of the Peace for Precinct 1. I'm a Christian, first of all. I'm a father, and married to a most amazing woman who's a school teacher. God love her. And but a little bit about me. You know, I work for Commissioner Walker for Precinct 1 as Special Projects Coordinator. Prior to that, I spent 13 years as full-time peace officer, where I rose to the rank of a captain, and I was a captain over the mental health and civil division. Over the mental health, I was helped created the crisis intervention team that is currently now that runs of Montgomery County. Captain over the civil division, which works hand in hand with the JP's office. You know, I've had to work security of the courts. I've had to serve papers for the courts, and I've had to do the judgments and serve the orders from the courts. That's where I've worked hand in hand with Judge Mack and Lanny Moriarty, and I have 13 years of experience doing that, and I've teamed up with them, and I've been in his court numerous times. He's done a fantastic job. And I want to continue that service. I've had an amazing career. I've had 15 years with Montgomery County and enjoyed every minute of it and still there. And I'd like to continue that and like to continue with the service for the community. There's 4 words that I like to live by, and that's learn, try, stay, and care. And I can go further into those, but you'd be amazed if you apply those 4 words into your life, how much you can move and how much you can make a difference in your life and do so many great things. And I am running for the Justice of the Peace. I strongly feel like it's a great position. we've been fortunate enough to have great judges before, and I want to continue that service. And I guess my time's up, so I want to thank y'all.
Thank you. And now, Mr. Waggoner, you've got 2 minutes.
All right, good evening, everyone. Like they said, thank y'all for sticking it out. I know it's late here. We appreciate y'all being here and hearing us. I'm William Waggoner. I'm the current City of Conroe judge. I was born and raised here in Montgomery County. Grew up in Conroe, graduated from Conroe High School in 2009, where I left the county for the first time and went to join the Marine Corps. I've spent the last 17 years serving in our military. I switched over to the Army and became a medic. After I came home, this is where I'm raising my 3 daughters. I needed to be here for them. I want to raise them here, and I want it to be a good community for us to raise them in. For the last 4 years, I've been blessed to serve as judge for the City of Conroe, where I've presided over, as of the new year, over 60,000 cases. And I hope to bring my experience and the things I've learned over the last 4 years to the county. I'm William Waggoner, and I appreciate y'all's support.
All right. So we're going to start with Mr. Carson. Same question for each judge. What is your view on alternatives to fines or jail for offenses such as community service?
What is my view for alternative?
Yeah, like alternatives to incarceration or fines.
It's a good question. You know, I had somebody ask me this question as well, and they referenced a justice of the peace who had, I believe it was a juvenile, who did minor traffic violation infraction or something, had him wear a sign, had him stand on a street corner, like as a form of alternative discipline, you know, to, I guess, publicly shame them or whatever. Things like that, I'm not necessarily against it. You know, I think there's a time and a place for things like that as well. I think each situation could be different on a case-by-case situation. You know, take the totality of the circumstances into play. Are they repeat offenders at their first time? I believe in holding people accountable, that they do need to learn the lesson. And if it's a lesson that they keep doing, then we're going to have to step up the punishments, and I'm not against alternative punishment for that. So I think that's something I would consider as a justice of the peace, to teach people a lesson. I know personally, I've only had one speeding ticket my entire life. I was a senior in high school. I was late to school. Got a speeding ticket by a state trooper whom, funny enough, later on in life, when I went to the police academy, he actually was my traffic instructor. So I told him that story, and he's like, "Yeah, thanks for making me feel old." But yeah, the lesson was learned. I had to go see the justice of the peace back then, Judge John Kleiman. The man put the fear of God in me, and he held me accountable for my mistake, told me the consequences of my actions. But then he also showed me grace, let me go with dismissal, slight deferred adjudication. I had to pay a small fine. So the lesson was learned, and grace was shown, and that's something that I would be bringing to the Justice of the Peace Court as well. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Now, same question for Mr. Luly. What is your view on alternatives to fines or jail for offenses such as community service?
Great question. You know, not every offense is prior being law enforcement. You know, not everything requires a punishment by fine. Sometimes that doesn't fit the bill. You know, someone who has money, gets caught speeding, spends $150 for a speeding ticket. Does that really stop the case? You know, what about if he did community service for 2 hours on a Saturday? You know, would that make a difference and change his mindset or her mindset? You know, I think that you have to work with the community. I think you have to work with your nonprofit organizations. You know, it takes a whole community to come up with alternatives. You know, the government doesn't have all the benefits of having different alternatives. And I think if you work with the community and the 501s and you come up with like maybe a boot camp type situation for truancy, you know, come up with different types of ideas other than just fines. And I think that would be a better cause as far as just always money. For an example, like truancy, if you have a 17-year-old person who's not driving to school, you know, is driving to school and skipping school school and not showing up to school, how is me finding the parent as a judge going to stop that? You know, the parent's probably doing everything they can to get that child to go to school. So we got to find something different. You know, we got to do something different. We got to find a way to mentor. We got to find it for rehabilitation. You know, all my years of service with mental health, you know, it was jail diversion. You know, so it's to get help for people because jail is sometimes not the place for them. And all it does is tack on a criminal history to someone that may affect them for the rest of their lives. So with that, you got to be compassionate, but you got to be tough on crime, but you got to be firm, but you have to be fair. So I think there needs to be other alternatives out there, and it has to be a community effort because it takes everybody to make that happen. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Luly. Mr. Waggoner, the question is, what is your view on alternatives to fines or jail for offenses such as community service?
That's a good question. That's actually one of the things we're required to do. Whenever someone comes in, I feel it's about hearing them, talking to them, understanding their situation. Do they have the ability to pay this fine? What's the impact going to be on their life? And that's when you just talk and hear people, hear their story, hear what's going on with their life, and work with them to use those alternative methods. So that's a very important thing. I think a lot of people struggle if they're forced to pay a $300-400 fine. Several of our families in Montgomery County, that's a huge financial hit to them. So it's very important that we consider that and work with them, consider those options.
Very good. All right. So now we're going to go to Mr. Luly for the second question. Have you observed, this question asks JP1 court to see what cases come in and how they're handled. I think that would apply to any JP court in Montgomery County, but if you observed, what's your experience?
Absolutely. Again, my years of law enforcement, I've been in JP1 court. I've been in Judge Mack's court numerous of times, you know, to watch outcomes, to watch the stories, watch what people have done, his judgments, you know, trial juries. So yes, I have been in those, and I've had to, again, with law enforcement being over the civil division, I've had to serve the judgments that the courts put out, you know, for the plaintiff or the defendant. You know, so yes, I've been in those courtrooms. I've been in the mental health courtrooms numerous of times, and I'm very knowledgeable of those, and I'm knowledgeable of the law. And I think that's what's going to help with the Justice of the Peace Court.
Very good. Mr. Waggoner, same question. Have you observed JP court, I would say any JP court, and see what kind of cases come in and how they're handled?
Yes, actually, when I first was elected back in 2022, I was blessed to have Judge Mack here guide me along the learning process. I went to his court. Several of the other judges have seen how they operate, and he's been a mentor and helped me when I started. And I've seen hundreds of cases every week for the last 4 years. So, yes.
Very good. And Mr. Carson, have you observed JP court to see what kind of cases come in and how they're handled?
Yes, sir. Not only have I went and observed JP courts, I've observed 4 out of the 5 JP courts here in Montgomery County. I've went to every single Justice of the Peace in Montgomery County except for Precinct 3. I've met with the constables, I've met with the Justice of the Peace in those precincts to meet with them to not only observe their courts and their dockets, you know, whether it be a truancy docket or a civil docket, a eviction docket, or just a small criminal docket. I've been taking notes because I feel I'm a lifelong learner. If it's a weakness of mine, I'm going to make it my strength. So I'm going to take notes and learn what I can from people. I've sat and had discussions with all of our Justice of the Peaces and our constables to find out what the needs are. You know, what are their expectations out of their Justice of the Peace? That's something that I'm passionate about. Again, I'm being proactive and taking the initiative. Prior to also, I have my own personal law enforcement experience when I worked with the Sheriff's Office as well, being involved in JP court cases as well. So that coupled with me going and taking the initiative to observe all these court dockets, I feel like is going to help me to be the best justice of the peace I can. So yes, I've observed several dockets in justice of the peace courts, not in my own precinct, but other precincts throughout the county as well, just to become well versed and give different points of views from the different justices of the peace in our county. Thank you.
Very good. And now, the third question will go to start with Mr. Waggoner. JPs are not required to be attorneys in the state of Texas. How will you be prepared, if elected, to be ready to walk in the courtroom on day one and make rulings from the bench?
Well, I think this is a little bit of an unfair question. I do have the 4 years of experience. I've been doing this. I think it is important that our Texas Constitution was written in a way that we don't have attorney judges only. This is a court for normal people. Almost everyone will be involved with the JP court or a municipal court at some point. I think it just takes someone to be fair, to listen, and understand.
Very good. All right. And Mr. Carson, how will you be prepared, if elected, to be ready to walk in the courtroom on day one and make rulings from the bench?
Well, it's my understanding that besides my own personal experience in law enforcement, the training experience I've received throughout the years, that if I'm fortunate enough to be elected to this position, there is training that you will receive before you actually take office. That training you'll get, prior to January 1st of 2027. So that'll be a huge help in preparing me for that as well. 90%, I believe 90% of people's first interaction with the judicial system is going to be in the justice of the peace courts. I believe it's our job to let that experience be a positive experience for them as well as an humbling experience where the lesson is learned, whether that be a criminal or civil or an eviction docket or whatever. But I believe it's about being prepared. It's not necessarily having a college level education or having years of experience on a bench already. Being prepared is, there's a lot of it that's going to take some common sense. Just being compassionate about people, listening to their story. I compare justice of the peace court to perhaps a baseball game. You got side A, side B. You got the defendant and the plaintiff. You as the justice of the peace, or as the umpire. You have to take side A and side B, and you have to listen to both sides equally and make a decision based on the facts of the case, the totality of the circumstances. And I can tell you, as your next justice of the peace, I'm going to call real balls and strikes. I'm going to hold people accountable, but I'm also going to show them grace when they deserve to be shown grace as well. So, thank you.
Very good. Mr. Luly, how will you be prepared, if elected, to be ready to walk in the courtroom on day one and make rulings from the bench?
Well, that's a great question, and I'm ready. 13 years of law enforcement. I can't tell you how many times I've been in Judge Mack's court, with that 13 years being a captain over the civil division, working hand in hand with him. That was your primary job as a constable. That's the constable's primary job, is work for the justice of the peace. So I've done that for 13 years, so I'm day one ready. I've known him for a long time. He's mentored me for a long time. So I am ready for that position. And I'm going to do just as great a job as he has and strive, because they're big shoes to fill. But it's known for the People's Court for a reason, and that's where I love about the court, because you don't have to be an attorney to come in here. It's for everyday people, so we can have an everyday conversation. And so we can solve issues, whether it's truancy, or whether it's civil evictions, or whether it's you hire a contractor and they do half a job and now you're suing them because they left with your money. You need to have someone with some knowledge with the law, but also have some common sense, but also has lifelong experience. And at my age, I've had plenty of lifelong experiences. I've worked 13 years and I'm still a licensed peace officer, so 15 years total of law enforcement. So I've seen a lot, and I believe that I'm day one ready with my experience, and I look forward to that if elected. And like I said, I think it's one of the greatest positions in the world, because of the fact that you don't have to have lawyers involved, and that you can have an everyday conversation and solve issues. And not everybody's going to be happy. It's just like blackjack. You have 50-50 chance of winning. It's when you go in front of a court, there's going to be a winner and there's going to be a loser. So you're not going to make everybody happy. But you need to run the court with integrity, with fairness, treat everybody with dignity and respect, and that's what I would do.
Thank you. Well, this is a good follow-up. We're back to Mr. Carson first, correct? Considering that JP court jurisdiction now is suits up to $20,000, plus attorney's fees, don't forget the attorneys, how should a judge conduct himself to show that his actions are not being influenced by anyone or any organizations?
That is a good question. I think the judge in the Justice of the Peace Court, to ensure that you as the person going into the people's court are treated fairly with dignity and respect and feel like you have had a fair trial, the judge needs to be impartial from the get-go. From the moment you walk into that courtroom, you need to feel like, yeah, this is a judge that he does seem like he's going to be impartial and fair. Listen to the facts of the case and listen to the totality of the circumstances. No matter what, each side's going to have their opportunity to present the facts of their case, present their evidence if they want to, and have their case heard. It's called the People's Court for a reason. It is the lowest level judicial system where people can come and they feel like they can air out their grievances, whether if it's a civil issue or it's a criminal matter, a Class C criminal matter. They should feel welcomed, into the courtroom and feel like, this is a place I feel like, yeah, he is going to be fair to me. He is going to listen to me with intent, and he's going to make a judgment in my case that, I may or may not like the outcome of that case, but at least I can say, it didn't go my way, but at least he was fair. He did listen to every single thing I had to say. He took my evidence and took the totality of the circumstances into consideration before he made a judgment. And if I need to go into chambers to speak to them on a private one-on-one basis or go back and review case law or previous case law, then that's what I'll do, because you will be thorough in each case to make an informed decision in that case that will be, I guess, equitable for both parties involved in the case. So, thank you.
Very good. For Mr. Luly, same question. How should a judge conduct himself to show that his actions are not being influenced by anyone or any organization?
Great question. And first of all, we're all human, but you have to be unbiased. You have to have integrity as a judge. And you have to be respectful. And you have to treat people with dignity. And you have to treat people respectfully, no matter what walk of life they have. So I want to hear the facts. I want to know. I don't want to hear, rumors or any of those things. I'm a facts person. So I want to know the facts. I want you to have your evidence. And I want to hear both sides of the story, because there's, as we know, three sides to every story. There's their story, her story, and then the actual truth that's in the middle, because everybody's perception is different. So you've got to be able to look through that and see that and have the experience of hearing that. And as a police officer, I've heard all kinds of stories. In 13 years of law enforcement, full time, I said you do that every day in real world. When you go to a scene, there's multiple people, and you have to find out the facts. And that's no different than the JP court, and that's no different than the people's court, because you're dealing with people. And I think that no matter what, your personal feelings need to be set aside. Doesn't matter what your thought process is as far as personally, but you have to go by the facts and you have to go by the law. And I think being compassionate, having integrity, and being respectful and treating people with dignity and being truthful, and then asking questions. Not all the times they're not answering the questions. So sometimes as a judge, you may have to ask different questions so you can get to the real truth. Because sometimes the answers are very vague, as you find in law enforcement. So you want to ask questions, and don't be afraid as a judge to ask questions so you can get the true story. So with that being said, I just think that just stay unbiased and first of all, have God in your life and use your heart and be compassionate to every case that you see in front of you.
Very good. And Mr. Waggoner, how should a judge conduct himself to show that his actions are not being influenced by anyone or any organization?
I think it's just a thing that comes with time. You have to show that day after day you're going to be unbiased, you're going to treat everyone with dignity, and as soon as that one case goes out the door, the next one is a new one. and you have to remind yourself of that, to reset, treat everyone equally, hear everything equally, and it's just consistency of doing that day over day. And I think everyone here is capable of doing that.
Very good. All right. So now we're back to Mr. Luly for the first question. Questions for everybody. Do you have a plan to improve the court efficiency of JP1?
Great question again. And as we all know, Montgomery County is growing at a fast pace. It's number 5 on the list of Texas as far as the growth. With that being said, the Justice of the Peace for Precinct 1 has 2 courtrooms. It's unusual out of most precincts. It's the only one in Montgomery County that has 2 courtrooms. Technology is going to help, but technology, as the previous first debate, AI, technology, you can use it for certain things, but it's a people's court, and you don't want to take the people out of it. So you want to make sure you staff it accordingly. You're going to have to go in front of Commissioner's Court, to ask for more staffing as the growth comes. The docket's going to grow. Your caseloads are going to grow, so you need staffing to make sure you have the staff and the manpower to handle those cases, so you can be efficient, and you can make sure you take care of those cases that are on a time basis, like show causes and evictions. Those are all time-sensitive cases. So you want to be able to have staff and leadership available so you can train your staff. Like Judge Mack's done a great job on training everybody. His staff with Brandy and Kim and his staff that he has there, they're phenomenal. And that's one thing that I would love to, as a JP, if elected, is his staff. They're amazing. And I hope they continue, no matter who is a JP, that they stay there and do the job that they do, because they do a fantastic job. So thank you.
Very good. Mr. Waggoner, do you have a plan to improve the court efficiency of JP1?
I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. It's all about your staff, encouraging them to continue training, get the next level of certification, developing in them. Your staff is what's going to keep you on track. They're going to keep the flow going. You honestly probably couldn't do it without them, so that is by far the most important thing. And then it's just showing up for work. And, when it gets busy, just grind through it and keep going and encourage that staff.
Very good. Mr. Carson, do you have a plan to improve the court efficiency of JP1?
The efficiency of courtroom exit, just to echo what both my opponents here said, that it does depend on the staff, and they do a very good job. And while I'm out and having these interviews and conversations with the other justices of the peace in our precincts, something that they kept bringing up was how well the staff in the Justice of the Peace Precinct 1 runs the courtroom. They consider them the gold standard. If there's any issues in other Justice of the Peace courtrooms throughout our county, they contact Precinct 1 to ask the questions, to get the questions answered that they need, or find out how we run this more efficiently or whatever. So I will tell you that I know that our area, Precinct 1, is probably the fastest growing area in Montgomery County right now. We had a demographic study done with the school district about 1.5 years ago that said in the next 8 to 10 years, we're going to have an additional 33,000 new homes just in Willis ISD area alone. So that equates to about a little over 9,600 students to about close to 20,000 students. So with that population growth is going to come more traffic infractions. It's going to come more civil disputes. It's going to come more evictions. So I think with the growth that's coming, it's important to stay ahead of the growth as far as updating your efficiency in your courtrooms with the computer technology, with your staff training, and just the overall how the court is run. You hire good quality people that will take pride in what they do. They're going to run your courtroom. Your staff for you is going to, your staff is going to run that Justice of the Peace courtroom for you very efficiently. But like I said, I can't tell you how many times I've had other JPs that I've sat and talked to brag about how well an efficient JP1 court is ran, and that they come to them with any questions that they have already. So they have already set the gold standard. So thank you.
Very good. And so the next question will begin with Mr. Waggoner. It's kind of a multi-faceted question. So who are your top donors, and what percentage of your campaign funds come from individual contributions under $500 versus over $500 or PACs? And how much have come from within your district as opposed to funds from outside your district?
100% of my donations are under the $500. It's all been small donations, and mostly myself. So from all within Precinct 1.
Very good. Mr. Carson, same complex question. Who are your top donors? What percent of campaign funds come from contributions under $500 versus over $500 or PACs? And how much is within your district?
Well, I can tell you that right now, probably over 80% of my campaign is self-funded right now. I put myself in a good position to where we could do that because when I was going out, I just didn't dip my toe into this. You know, when I heard the rumblings that Judge Mack was not going to rerun, I did my due diligence. I went and spoke to family and friends, and I went and spoke to community leaders, faith leaders, and elected officials. You know, part of my reasoning for going out and speaking to them was to gain their insight, gain their knowledge, and seek their counsel on how to do a good job. And I got a lot of encouragement from them. I didn't want to go to them strictly to ask for their funds. I wanted to get their knowledge and their insight as to what the role entails and how I can be the best justice of the peace I can be, you know, learning from them in that role. So, like I said, over 80% of my campaign right now is self-funded. I wanted the people to know that I have some skin in the game. I have my own skin in this game to do that. I have received donations and they're all within Precinct 1 here as well. So, I will tell you too that I'm a very community-oriented person. That I stay engaged in my community. I believe in giving back to my community. So I do contribute to the youth of our community through different organizations as well, and that is something that I will continue to do whether I'm elected to this position or not. So thank you.
Very good. And Mr. Luly, who are your top donors? What percentage of your campaign funds come from contributions under 500 versus over 500 or PACs? And how much of the funds come from within your district?
That's a good question. One, over 500 that I have, and that's from a private individual. The rest are all been from individuals, but all within the district, all within the precinct. I'm not a huge... It's hard to ask people for money, especially during the Christmas time and the holiday time, and so a lot of it's self-funded. A lot of it's from my own pocket that I've used so far. Of course, as all candidates, it's expensive to run a campaign, so you have to ask for contributions. But to answer the question, though, it's only one that was over the 500 mark, and the rest have been under that. So you reach out to the community, and every $1 helps with that. So, yes.
Very good. And the time has come for each of you to make your 2-minute closing argument. And we'll go ahead and start with Mr. Carson.
Closing argument?
Yes,
That's that lawyer in him.
that's right.
Thank y'all for your time. Thank you, Jay Wright, for moderating this for us. Thank you to Grace Church for hosting us here this evening. I do apologize to y'all who have had to sit here and stare at the glare coming off mine and my opponent's head for both these lights for the last 40 minutes or so. But I'm excited about the possibilities of being elected to the Justice of the Peace. It's something that's important to me. You know, I've always been involved in my community. I'm highly engaged in the community. I have just been blessed to live here with my wife of 20 years married this year, live in this area. I've always tried to teach my boys that the highest form of citizenship is volunteering and giving back to your community, whatever shape, form, or fashion that looks like. You know, try to be a good example to them. Some of my most memorable years so far with my kids has been coaching them in Little League Baseball, coaching my older son in Little League Baseball. Not only did it impact him, the other kids that were on the team as well, I felt like I had an impact on them also, you know. To see a kid, you know, that may be down on their luck, they may come from a broken home, and for you to be involved in them and to have a positive influence in their life, it creates positive change for them. And not only creates positive change for that kid, it also creates generational positive change. They're going to remember those interactions as a kid. They're going to grow up and they're going to teach their kids in the same way. So I think part of my qualities as a human being, as a person, the way I was raised and just life experiences is going to bode very well for me in the role as the Justice of the Peace. And I feel like that if I'm fortunate enough to be elected to this position, that I'm a lifelong learner. I'm always willing to learn new things. So if there's something that needs to be changed, I'm willing to listen and change it. So if I wanted to speak to the previous administration that's in the audience with us tonight, Judge Mack, he's been an inspiration to me. So because if he can go from being a janitor to a judge in our county, then that's very inspirational to me as well. Then I feel like I can go from being like a mailman to a Justice of the Peace judge as well. So again, my name is Scott Carson, running for Justice of the Peace, Precinct 1, and I would greatly appreciate y'all's support. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Luly, you have 2 minutes.
Well, I want to thank my candidates up here. I think y'all have a good choice. You had 3 choices out there right now, or I guess there's 4, but 3 Republican choices to choose from. And I think it's going to be a great campaign. I think it's going to be based on experience. It's going to be based on knowledge. And I truly feel that with my years of service as far as law enforcement, I'm day one ready. I know how to run Judge Mack's court. He's mentored me over now 15 years. So I've learned firsthand from one of the best JPs that we've had. And I hope to earn your vote. And I think if any of y'all would give me any time to speak to me and ask me questions and get to know me, I think you understand that and know that I truly believe in what I do. I've been serving the community for 15 years, especially Precinct 1, just for 15 years, and I want to continue my service. And I will do so whether I'm elected or not. I'll work for the Commissioner's office, and I want to continue my service no matter what for our community because I believe in it, and I'm compassionate about serving my community, and I'm going to continue that service. And with that being said, I just hope to earn your vote. I'm Brian Luly. I'm running for JP1, and I hope to have your support. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you. Thank you. And Mr. Waggoner, 2 minutes.
Again, thank you all for staying here so late. Thank you everyone at home watching for tuning in and giving us the time to hear us, to hear our answers. I ask that you allow me to continue to serve, to look at my experience over the last 4 years, my record over the last 4 years, how we've made an impact here in the city of Conroe, and let me bring that to the county level. Again, if anyone has any questions for me, feel free to reach out. I'm always here to answer anything, and I appreciate y'all's time. William Waggoner for Justice of the Peace.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much. Thank everybody for attending.